Hey, what is going on, guys? DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the Hall of Fame game showdown slate. Dallas Cowboys versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, NFL football is back. I am so excited. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. Also make videos for PGA Daily Fantasy Sports and NBA Top Shot. And if you're interested in Olympic basketball, daily fantasy sports, I've been making videos and live streaming every slate for DraftKings as well as FanDuel. So check those out if that's something that intrigues you. If you're unable to watch these YouTube videos, they're also up on Apple Podcasts. I'll have a link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. And if you could, take a minute out of your day, leave a 5-star rating and review. That would go a long way, guys. Every single rating and review on Apple Podcasts boosts me up in those rankings. If you were interested in signing for premium content, now is a great time. Beginning of the month, I offer 3 different packages. NBA package, that includes Olympic basketball and Summer League. NFL package includes preseason. Again, this game, I'll be covering all the preseason games. And then I offer an esports package that includes Call of Duty and CSGO. And then finally, a gold package, which is the combination of all 3 together if you're going to be playing all 3 of those. And I do want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring this episode. So, if you guys are not familiar with PrizePicks, there are a few different ways you can play. So I checked NFL. They don't have anything. I didn't expect them to have anything for the Hall of Fame game because really, a lot of the snaps are going to be spread out. But, for NFL, they have some stuff posted for week 1. So you can take over, under, and straight up fantasy points. Like they have Christian McCaffrey projected for 23.5 fantasy points. Or you can go over to single stat where you can take over, under, on like rushing yards, receiving yards. I really like it. It's a nice change of pace because you're not playing against a ton of people, right? You're just playing against the house. And you can mix and match sports too. They really have every single sport you can think of. So if you guys want to try it out, you can sign up. Use the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word, link down below. You will get a 100% match up to $100. Basically, you put $100 in, you'll get a free $100 to play with. And finally, I just want to thank you guys again for all your support on the videos, live streams, as well as on Twitter. If you do enjoy this content, if you could, leave a like button on the video. Let's try to aim for 100 likes on this one. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Again, about half the people watching these videos are not subscribed. Closing in the 10,000 subscriber marks. If you could, please hit that big red subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos and you don't want to go live. I'm probably going to be doing a live stream tomorrow for this or for Thursday's Showdown slate. So make sure to check it out. I'll answer any questions you guys have. All right, so before we talk about players and the prices for the Hall of Fame game, let's take a look at the Vegas odds. So historically, this has again been a pretty low-scoring game, the first game of the preseason. Been a defensive battle. Right now, it's projected a 33 over/under, and the Steelers are 1-point favorites. So really quick, I just kind of want to talk about, how to build a safer lineup, how to build a riskier lineup. So with the Hall of Fame game, the first preseason game, I will say most of the starters are not going to play. So like Dak Prescott, Big Ben, the starting running back, starting receivers, I don't expect any of them to play. Now I'll have to monitor that. Maybe they'll get 1 series on offense, but I'm really not expecting any of the main guys to play big minutes. So the guys we want to target in this game are kind of the guys on the end of the roster, or fringe, could get cut, could maybe make the roster. So those are the guys we want to focus on. Again, for quarterbacks, they're probably both teams. I expect to play 3 quarterbacks. So, a quarter and a half each or so for each quarterback. Now, we'll get into that a little bit more. I expect a couple quarterbacks to play a little bit more, maybe a little bit safer. The defenses are usually pretty safe on this game because it's projected to be pretty low scoring. And with, snaps being really spread out for running backs, wide receivers, if you get like 5-6 points, you're going to be really happy in a game like this. So that's why the defenses are going to be pretty popular in this one. Also the quarterbacks, since they have a higher floor. Running backs, again, kind of depends who's playing, who's not. If a team's kind of thin at running back, then those guys look a little bit better. And wide receivers, I would say the most boom or bust because there's a ton of wide receivers. However, they probably have the most upside, right? DraftKings is full point PPR, so if you get 2 catches for 30 yards right there, that's 5 points. Obviously, they can break long ones. So safest plays are probably the defenses and the quarterbacks, followed by the running back. And then I would say the riskiest are probably wide receivers and even tight ends. Tight ends should be pretty low owned. All right, with all that being said, guys, let's start off with the Dallas Cowboys heads. Again, Dak Prescott is not going to play in this game, so they have 3 quarterbacks: Garrett Gilbert, Ben DiNucci, and Cooper Rush. So do I have a strong take on the Dallas quarterbacks? I really don't. If I had to guess, I would think Garrett Gilbert starts and probably plays the most, maybe a quarter and a half or so. Ben DiNucci is probably the second quarterback in, and then Cooper Rush. So there's really no strong take here for me. Again, all 3 I do expect to play. All 3 I would think get at least a quarter or so. Again, if I had to guess, I would say Garrett Gilbert plays the most. I'll probably get confirmation on that maybe tomorrow going into the game on Thursday. So I think all 3 quarterbacks are safe, but if I had to pick one right now, it would be Garrett Gilbert, probably then Cooper Rush, then Ben DiNucci for me. Now, moving on to the running backs, I don't expect Ezekiel Elliott to play. I really don't expect Tony Pollard to play too. From what I've seen in training camp, what I've heard, Tony Pollard's going to have a lot bigger role this year. So I think they're going to sit out these top 2 running backs for Dallas. Now, maybe they get a series, right? Maybe Tony Pollard gets a series. Then you could use him in a GPP setting. But really, again, we want to focus on more the younger guys, the guys who are going to get a little bit more playing time. Also, one more thing to mention is everyone is the same price, so there's no looking for good value, right? You just pick the 6 players that you think are going to be the best options. So I do want to talk about a couple running backs here. Rico Dowdle, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I could be mispronouncing it. So he was a rookie last year. He did end up making the team. He's lost some weight. He's looked a little bit better, and they expect him to get a decent amount of work this game. So I think Rico looks like a solid play, a safer option. Also, rookie Jaquan Hardy, kind of a speedster. He is expected to get a decent amount of work too. So Rico Dowdle and Jaquan Hardy are probably the 2 running backs I'm looking to on the Dallas side. Again, if Pollard and Zeke don't play, then they only have 4 guys, and I would expect Dowdle and Hardy to get a majority of the work there. So those 2 guys are guys I'm looking to on the Dallas running back side. So now, moving on to wide receivers, I'm not expecting the main guys to play. So Cooper, Lamb, Gallup, I don't think any of those guys play. Guys like Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown, kind of the number 4, number 5, might play a little bit. But really what I want to focus on are more of these guys that are, fringe, probably going to get cut. Maybe one of these guys make the roster. So we'll start with Semi Fioco. He is a rookie, big body wide receiver, 6'3". He's been making a good impression so far in camp. I've heard his name mentioned a couple times. Again, I've been doing for research. Just live on Twitter. That's another thing for preseason, NFL, even NBA, is Twitter is going to be your best friend. So what I've done here is basically Twitter search every single one of these players, see who's been making good impressions so far in camp. That is a good way to do research if you're trying to do research for preseason. And again, Semi Fioco, one of those guys that's making good impressions so far in camp. Again, a big body wide receiver. I think he'll get a good amount of run here. I think he is a good option there at wide receiver. Also, Brennan Eagles, formerly of the rookie, formerly of the Texas Longhorns, another big body receiver, I believe 6'3". So those are 2 guys that can kind of look to in the end zone. And if I'm going to take a shot on one of these Dallas wide receivers, I think it would be more the end of the bench guys like a Semi Fioco, young guys like a Brennan Eagles, I think where I'm looking. Now, tight end for Dallas, there's really not much here. They do have like 7 tight ends. Now, there is one tight end in Pittsburgh I'll mention when we get there, I think is viable. But with, Jarwin, Dalton Schultz used to be the top 2 guys on offense this year. Don't expect them to play much, but they still have a lot of depth behind them. Sprinkle, McEwen, Eubanks, Lynn, Ralston. So I don't think I'm going to get to the tight ends. And then, defense, I mentioned that it's going to be one of the more popular plays in the Showdown slate for sure. But with this projected to be a low-scoring game, possibly some turnovers too, I think the Cowboys are one of the better plays on the Showdown slate. Let's move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I do not expect Big Ben to play in this game. Maybe he'll get a series. Again, we'll keep an eye on that. But if he doesn't play, it's going to be 3 quarterbacks: Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins, and Josh Dobbs. So what I want to do really quick is bring up this article I saw on Dwayne Haskins. So when Tomlin's first depth chart was revealed last week, again, I'm just reading this, so give me 1 second. Haskins was penciled in as number 3 ahead of Dobbs, who was the backup in 2018. All the reserve quarterbacks have good and bad moments during the first week of camp, but it's clear Steelers are giving Haskins every opportunity to earn the final roster spot. So it sounds like Haskins is a guy that's going to get the most work in this game, if I had to guess. Now, Rudolph, I expect to start if Big Ben doesn't play, but I think Haskins probably gets the most work, so I think he's probably the safest option. Now, I have heard his name mentioned a couple times too. I think he's going to be popular, but I do agree. I think he is probably one of the safer plays in the Showdown slate. Now, a riskier play here is Josh Dobbs. He is their fourth quarterback right now. Will probably close the game. Not sure how much he's going to play exactly. The thing I like about Josh Dobbs, though, is he has that rushing upside. So he's the guy that can go out and get you, a little bit of a floor on the ground game. So Haskins probably the safest option, but I don't mind rolling the dice on Josh Dobbs. So I think he's going to be pretty low owned. The risk here is I'm not sure how much exactly he plays since he's listed as the number 4 quarterback. But if he does get a quarter or so, you could see him do some work on the ground. Again, I think he'll come in at pretty low ownership. If I had to guess, I would say Haskins is probably going to be the guy that's going to be the most popular. Now let's move on to the running backs for the Steelers. So this one's tricky. I don't expect Benny Snell to play. Najee Harris is a rookie. However, he's projected to be their starting running back. So, I really don't expect him to play in this game either. Maybe he gets a series, but I'm really not looking to the top 2 backs here for Pittsburgh. Where I want to look to is a guy like Anthony McFarland Jr. So from what I've heard, it sounds like he's going to get a decent amount of work. Now, he's a speedster back, a good receiving back, and I think he'll get a decent amount of work in this game. So Anthony McFarland is one of my favorite running back plays on this Showdown slate. And then you have a couple, veteran running backs and guys like Keelan Ballage, Jalen Samuels. Now, the positive with both these backs are they're actually both are good receiving backs. Again, Samuel's one of the more scat backs, a good receiving back. So I do have a little bit of interest there in Samuels and Ballage. I think you could play 2 running backs if you want to. Again, running backs probably a little bit safer than wide receivers. I'm not going to get to Derek Watt, the fullback, but yeah, I think for me, running back where I'm looking to on the Steelers side would be McFarland, 1, and then a little bit of interest in guys like Samuels and Ballage, who I do think will get some touches in this one. Let's move on to wide receiver. Like I said a few times now, don't expect the starters to play. Maybe they'll get a series, but I'm going to stay away from the main guys and Juju, Claypool, Deontay Johnson, probably even James Washington I'll pass on. Now, a guy like Ray McLeod, is a guy that fringe make the team, maybe not. He is a speedster, a guy that they can get some end arounds to. So I think he has a little bit of upside here. Again, a special teams guy. I think he'll get a decent amount of work in this game. So I do have a little bit of interest there in Ray McLeod. I want to bring up a couple other things here that I was reading. So Rico Busi, I believe that's how I pronounce the name. Again, I might be mispronouncing a few of these guys' names. So, but he has been also making some good plays in camp. He had numerous big plays thus far in camp, including at the Steelers' annual Friday night practice that was open to the public. He's been running with the 3rd and 4th string units, catching passes from Dwayne Haskins and Joshua Dobbs. So I think Rico Busi is a guy that will be pretty low owned, but he's been making some good impressions in camp. I do have a little bit of interest there. And then a couple other guys I want to mention here. So Isaiah McCoy, Tyler Simmons, 2 young guys have also been looking pretty solid in camp. And Tyler Simmons, Isaiah McCoy, and Rico Busi. These are 3 guys that I expect to play majority kind of in the second half and get a lot of run with those 3rd and 4th string quarterbacks. So those 3 youngsters I do have a little bit of interest in. I'll mention Matthew Sexton too because he is a very, very speedy wide receiver, a guy that will probably play a little bit in the slot. So a little bit of interest there as well. And let's move on to tight ends. So I mentioned I really have no interest in the Dallas tight ends because they have a ton of tight ends. Now, with Pittsburgh, there's one guy I'll mention here. So Eric Ebron, don't expect him to play. Pat Freiermuth got banged up a little bit in practice. I would guess he sits out this game too, the rookie. So if both Ebron and Freiermuth are out, they only have 3 tight ends. So one guy I'll mention as a deep dart throw in tournaments is Zach Gentry. I'm familiar with him because he's a Michigan man. He actually is a pretty solid receiving tight end. And I think if both Ebron and Freiermuth are out, he'll get a decent amount of work. Now, again, tight ends are even riskier than wide receivers because they're not going to get a ton of targets. But if those 2 are out, there would only be 3 healthy tight ends for Pittsburgh. So do have a little bit of interest there. And then, the Steelers defense, like I said, same thing I'll say about the Cowboys defense, as the defenses are 2 very, very safe options. Now, as far as the kickers go, let's see. Did Dallas... So they only have Zerline on the roster, and he is not going to play. So it looks like the Cowboys won't, I mean, they're going to have a kicker, obviously, but it looks like they don't have one on Draftkings yet. So see if they add one. On the Steelers side, they do have 2 kickers. Again, Boswell was their main kicker. We'll see if he plays. If he doesn't, then maybe Sloman is the guy in this game. But yeah, so that'll be one we'll have to keep an eye on too, is the kickers and who ends up being available. So monitor that one. Again, kickers can get you some fancy points. They are in play here on the Showdown slate, so a little bit of interest there as well. All right, but that is going to do it for the video today. So if you guys have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos and live. I'm probably going to be doing a live stream for this one. First NFL game of the year. Again, I know it's only a preseason Hall of Fame game, and a lot of the snaps are going to be very spread out. But I'm excited to play this one and make a few lineups and hopefully win some money. So again, that's going to do it for the video today, guys. Thanks again. Have a great day, and I will see you all in the live stream on Thursday.